Hey there, everybody. Emmett here again. So, we have got some audio issues with this episode. Fortunately, not on the guest side. Reco Rawlins sounds fantastic. You're really going to enjoy listening to him. You are going to hate my voice, or more accurately, the sound quality. The good news is, episode 3, which is out this day next week, we should have them all resolved, and you will unfortunately hear me crystal clear then. But for now, here's Barely Hoops. Hello, 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 and welcome to Barely Hoops Ballingers podcast that is technically about basketball, but not really about basketball. And today's guest, well, he definitely fits the bill of being a basketball player over a decade career, but is certainly a man who was not only about basketball. That is one of my favorite things in the whole of existence, food. So I'll be asking him about that and all his wonderful things he's done with that in respect. Rico Rawlins, welcome, man, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So Rico, like obviously with pretty much with every who's against in this, I have to assume most of our listeners have not heard of you to begin with. So tell us a bit about who you are, like where you come from, and where you are in the world talking to me right now.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm just a country boy from Alabama originally. Yeah, I grew up in the South. My father was in the military. At the age of about 10, we went off and started traveling around the world. We was living in Italy and Japan and all these other places, being a military brat. And then we settled back down in America, back in Memphis, Tennessee. From there, that's where I started playing basketball and found love for basketball. And then from there, went off to University of Missouri. And then, yeah, now Phoenix is home when I was in America before I eventually started my career over in Europe. Yeah, played 13 years pro over in Europe in a lot of different leagues in 9 different countries. And now Stockholm, Sweden is where I call home. I played a few seasons here also. Yeah.
Because like I knew obviously about the Parasol travel once you started playing basketball. I didn't know about all the travel before you played basketball. So I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a bit about that sort of that young life because obviously you're moving around, you're seeing the world the way most players don't start seeing until they finish college. You saw it before you even like went to school nearly. And so for you, just sort of start getting into basketball. Like what age were you? And at what point did you start to realize I might be okay at this sport?
Well, I mean, the irony of it was I wasn't even into basketball coming from Alabama.
Hmm.
It's Alabama is a football state. So all kids grow up playing football, and then once we start moving around in military, my father, he used to play some basketball in high school, and then once we got over to Japan, he one day he just when I was around 11, 12 years old, he just signed me up for a basketball team, and I didn't even ask. And so he just signed me up, and then he made me play a season. I really hated it. I wasn't even into basketball then. I was just football, football, football. And then, yeah, and then I didn't play that next season. Then we wound up coming to America the year after that. And then once we moved to Memphis, Memphis is a basketball city. Yeah. So then all my friends that I was just starting high school when we moved to Memphis, and all my friends, all they did was play basketball. So I just started developing playing basketball, and that's where I fell in love with it. Yeah.
So it was high school before you really got into it, which is like
Yeah.
for a guy in the US, it's reasonably late. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I didn't like really. I started in high school, my ninth grade year. I went out for the freshman basketball team. I didn't even make the team my freshman year. So I wind up making it my sophomore year, and then from there I went on. Yeah. So
and so obviously, like you've eventually ended up starting to get recruited. Like, when did you start noticing this? And like, because like going to Mizzou was like a big deal of a school to go to. Like, so when did you start to realize, oh, I might actually be able to do something with this as a, beyond just, playing with friends.
yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize it until like after my junior year. Like for me, I come up from a football background. I knew basketball, but I was super athletic. I ran track and all that. I was very physical. I could jump really good. So for me, I was just running the floor, grabbing a lot of rebounds. I was getting 20 points a game just running the floor, not shooting no jumpers, getting rebounds. And then after that season, I started getting letters from different universities saying, "Hey, we like a player your caliber with your skills." That made me really think like, oh, maybe I could do something. Because I was averaging 22 points a game, like literally without shooting no jump shots. It was just all layups and dunks and just rebounds. So
Fundamentals, basically. I'm gonna cut away from basketball for a second because one of
yeah.
the big things we're going to be asking about deeper into this is, the way you've got your own soul food place and the way you built it up. Was it around that time? I'm just curious that you started developing the love for cooking.
Well, the thing is, like my mom and my dad, I grew up growing up in the South. You always around people cooking, but then when my
Oh
mom
yeah.
and my dad divorced when I was probably around, I don't know, probably about 14 or 15. My mom told me, I remember her specifically saying, she like, yeah, if you ever want to keep a woman, you need to learn how to cook. So my mom told me and my brother I had a younger brother that was 2 years younger than me. She always showed us how to cook in the kitchen. She said, because a woman, don't expect a woman to cook for you all the time. So you need to learn how to cook yourself. So she showed us how to cook then. And then from then on, I just picked up things and then going to university and living on my own and all that. So yeah.
So I'm gonna guess, given you're starting like in your mid-teens learning to cook. By the time you get to university, you must be kind of remember the basketball side of things. Your dorm buddies must have loved you, your guys who lived with you, because like, well, we know Rico can cook.
Well, the irony of it is when I got to university, I only stayed on campus for like the first like half a semester because where we was at, we I went to the University of Missouri. It's Kansas City, not Mizzou, but it was still D1. It was right an hour away in Kansas City. So what it was like in the I don't know, not every university is like this, but you have the option where you can on your scholarship, you can either stay in the dorms and get 3 free meals a day and this and that, or you can get a stipend check every month worth the cost of staying in the dorms and 3 meals a day. So what me and two of my teammates did, we wind up just taking that check and getting us like a super nice apartment, literally about a 10-minute walk from campus. So, and we just stayed there at the apartment, and then we weren't on campus, so we weren't confined to what we could and could not do. Plus,
It's like
then I was cooking all the time there, so my teammates, my colleagues loved it, and I was always cooking. Yeah,
it's fantastic because you're actually reminding me of so here in Ireland, in the military in our defense forces. So for the officer school, they would do their degree first and then go in. But if
yeah,
you do the officer school first, the cadetship, they'll send you off to university afterwards. And well, not all of them are good cooks, from my understanding. Some of them are, I'm sure.
yeah,
But
yeah,
generally, similar lifestyle where they don't really live in the dorms because they have their stipend from being in the military to live
yeah,
for their life. And,
exactly.
because they aren't full-time athletes like you would have been, full-time but student athletes like you have been. They basically the summer after they finish their degree have to lose all the weight they've gained during college, so it's a
Yeah,
bit different. So you
yeah,
did your 4 years in college. So
yeah.
bring me to sort of the beginning of this journey of Rico goes around the world. How you sort of what's got going in the pro game.
How I what? So are you
You
fit?
got going in the pro game.
Well, after once I even when once I got the funny irony of it is once I even got to university, I didn't even have like hoop dreams. I didn't even know I got a scholarship to go to college. I was the first person in my family to ever get a scholarship. So I was just happy to go to scholarship and continue my education because I was a straight A student in high school. So I went to school, studied engineering and architecture. So that was I was studying at university. So I was like, okay, I'm on the path to this. And then like, my freshman year in college, I didn't get a lot of playing time. My second year, I was playing behind a guy called Tony Dumas. He actually wound up going lottery pick in the NBA in 94. So I was playing behind him and we had like a couple of guys that were like going to pro. And then once they left after my sophomore year, my junior year, I by then I had a couple of years behind me, and then I started to develop, and my game got better, got a jump shot, and then next thing you know, I'm leading the league and scoring and MVP of our conference. So I was like just yeah, and then after that, I had another good year my senior year. I actually got invited to a couple of NBA tryouts and camps, but directly after my senior year, I had intestinal issue with my intestines. So I had to have this surgery I had made surgery and I was out for 6 months because they had, they literally had to cut my stomach open and remove part of my intestines, all this. And yeah, yeah. So
That does not sound fun. Really.
it
Say,
wasn't
like,
fun. So I was out of basketball for 6 months directly out of my after my senior year, and that kind of like put me on like I was invited to like NBA camps and tryouts for that year and I didn't go. So once I got healthy, so what I did, I wind up going to my best friend Tony Dumas. He was playing in Dallas at the time, so I went down to Dallas with him, trained, got myself back into shape. Then next year, I wind up going to like Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns training camps and tryouts. Had some pretty good camps. They liked me, but they wind up taking these, big 7 foot Europeans, keeping all the big guys. Back then, it was a big man's league,
oh
you
yeah.
know. So they were just taking all anybody over 6'10", they were just keeping everybody, even though they were like, yeah, you had a really good camp and we was looking for something like you, we would have kept you. But that gave me hope and let me know why I do have that type of game and just letting that's them letting me know that that I do have a chance. And then from there they were like, hey, I got this agent that can get you overseas if you want to continue and play some years over there, then come back. So that's how I started. Yeah. So they hooked me up with this agent. He had a lot of connections over in Europe. Came over to Europe on like a traveling team. They had like it was about 12 of us guys from America that like didn't get drafted, but we was good players. Came over to play some national teams in a different country, Lithuania, Latvia, Germany, play some national teams. And then at those camps and games, there was like scouts and general managers all different type of European teams. And literally after my very first game, I remember first game I came off the bench. I hit 30 points, came off the bench, hit 30 points, and I had like three teams wanting me right immediately. We are supposed to be in Europe for 2 weeks. After that first, I was there for 2 days. They were like, this coach from Germany, he was like, hey, I like you. You want to come play for us? We'll pay you this much money. I'm like, sure. You're like, okay, cool. But we need you in Germany in 2 days. I was like, okay, but I got to get all my stuff in America. Okay, yes, we'll buy you a ticket. You go back to America, grab all your stuff, and you can meet us in Germany on Thursday. This was like a Monday. We see you on Thursday. I was like, okay. So it was just like that.
I can only imagine the jet lag from that. Like I have heard that answer from players before, but one of the things I'm thinking of here, especially because I didn't know about all your childhood movement before we spoke, is Kyle Hines, who's like, long time retired pro. He's always said one of the big things he tries to say to from the US over to Europe and college is if you're going to succeed there, it's not just about like the work put into the basketball. That's obviously very important, but you've got to get
Yeah.
used to being able to live in that different environment. You've got to get
Yeah, yeah,
familiar with
you have to want it. Yeah, like I've seen a lot of players come and go from over here. It's like you have to embrace the European culture, the different cultures, if you really want to succeed and be in this world over in Europe. I mean, I've been seeing some great players come, but they just couldn't adapt. They weren't open to adapting, trying new foods, experiencing different cultures and all that. And that can weigh heavy on you, especially if you're like missing home, but then getting that support system in Europe is a great way so you don't miss home so much and get you through the season until you can go back home. But a lot of players, they stay to themselves or don't really open up a lot and it can eat at you.
because eating at you was kind of the appropriate thing because you lived in 9 different countries as a pro,
Yeah,
which is a lot even like because like a lot of guys do the multiple country thing during their
yeah.
10, 15 years pro. Like you must have had as a guy who likes food, you're getting to play all this different basketball, experience all different culture, but you must have been able to try this wild variety of food as a
Yeah.
foodie. Like it must have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, majority of those years I was living in France. I lived in France for 4 of those years I was playing, but I've been Germany, Poland, Hungary, Finland. I was all the way in the Middle East. I was in Jordan, Bahrain. So I was just trying foods from all different cultures, and I wouldn't say I was a food enthusiast at the time, but I was always open to trying stuff. And then there's things I was like, oh, like you look at it and it just looked like mush, and you try it. I was like, oh. Okay, I realize you cannot judge a book by its cover when it comes to food in other worlds.
I had a
Yeah.
Polish housemate for the last 3 years, and my partner Shabangi is Indian. So I just get this easy direct exposure to so much different food. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, so you say you weren't really a food enthusiast. Obviously, while you were playing, your focus was basketball and get to live the life. And again, it's remarkable you had that military brat background, so you're used to having to move, to adapt, to adjust.
Yeah, yeah.
So when did the food enthusiasm really begin? Because like this is your career now, is food. So when did that sort of grow? Where did it come from?
Well, I mean, I've always liked cooking my southern food, right? And I think the real bug came to me once I settled back here in Sweden. There's a lot of Americans and Canadians that live here in Sweden, like a lot. Because the Sweden is like
The American who introduced us. So there you go. Yeah.
exactly. So there's a lot here, and I have a lot of a big network of people, and anytime we have any type of gathering or some type of party or something, and they're like, "Rico, you gonna bring some of your chicken?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. I got to bring the Alabama fried chicken with me everywhere I go." So, and then and it's just my friends were always telling me this and this. You should do something with it. You should open a restaurant. Da, 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 da. So then eventually, I had a son, so I went on parental leave, and that's when I like, you know what? This might be my one opportunity, my time, because it was all about having the time to start a company and restaurant and all that. So I was like, this might be my one opportunity to try because I had like 6 month parental leave. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it now.
And some of the people listening, especially back where you're originally from, will understand because like Sweden actually system in place. Explain the 6 month parental leave because it wasn't just that, like, sort of, I took 6 months off. They actually have a
Yeah.
reasonably good social safety net, don't they?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they have the best safety net in the world. You can you pay high taxes here, but you also see where your tax money goes too. You get like both parents get I only took 6 months, but each parents get 280 days of parental leave paid. You get free university here, free dental up until the age of 18. And you see where we pay 25 to 35% taxes depending on where you live, but you see where that money goes and it comes back to your free health care, so you see where it goes.
That parental leave has been phenomenal. So I'm gonna pause on the food for a moment because we want to bring it back to get some of your
Yeah.
memories from playing as a pro in Europe. So
Yeah.
as you managed to see all these different places, like what sort of, do you remember from your time? Like what stood out to you? What went well? What didn't go well? If you know what I mean.
I mean, I'm one of those guys like since I had the background of traveling a lot when I was younger, it was easy for me to adapt to different situations. If I went into a decent situation with the team and the organization, I can adapt. You ain't gonna find a perfect situation all the time, but it was easy for me. I'm such an easygoing guy. I kind of knew what to expect. I knew that cultures are different and we're gonna have our differences, but my whole mentality was I'm gonna make them love Americans. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had this preconceived notion how Americans are, and some of them give us a bad rep. But my thing was, you know what? I'm gonna make them love people from Alabama wherever I go, and that was like my whole mentality. And people just, they just embraced me. I embraced them, and for me, it was more like the worst thing I had was like, okay, you get in a team or organization and you don't have a successful season. You know what I'm saying? I never had money issues. I was fortunate enough I always went to teams and clubs that actually, paid on time and never had the money issues with them. But
13 years, that's amazing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it was one time I had one issue when I was in Poland, and it was just late. They were just late with the payment, but it wasn't like I never got paid. So I got fortunate. I think I was fortunate because I know every single player I know that it came to Europe have some type of horror story when it comes to getting paid. Yeah.
Wow. And so, like, tell us, because obviously, the parental leave was when you sort of got to thinking of do like the jump from, professional athlete to you could have worked in basketball coaching as your job. You could have done something like that. I'm going to start a restaurant. So tell us about this.
Yeah, I mean, but since once I retired from playing, I've been teaching here. I'm a certified math and science teacher at the international school. So
Wow.
I'm a certified teacher. So that's what I've been doing for 10 years after I
Yeah.
retired, but also been coaching and also been refereeing. So I'm staying connected to the back. I actually still been playing in like the lower third division just to stay in shape. So I've always stayed connected to basketball on top of my teaching job. And then I just like I said, went on parental leave. And I always had this ideal in my mind about the restaurant because, coming from America, we have our Shoney's, our IHOPs, our, Pancake House. We have those breakfast spots, brunch, chicken and what. So, but there's nothing like that here. And I'm
No,
like,
no.
I should open one. I should do it.
I was like,
Yeah.
whenever I go to the US, I'm looking for Southern food. Like I've
Yeah.
been to Tennessee, I've been to Kentucky, I've even stopped in Mississippi while in transit. Like,
Yeah.
Georgia, Louisiana, like people because they go, yeah, I love this specific food, lads. It's like, feed that to me. I remember when I first had po' boy. It's like, and I just found a way to make it at home without setting my kitchen on fire. I was delighted. So I totally get this, but it's so hard to get this food in Europe. So you're
Exactly.
well, that was one of the challenges, though, because obviously you're bringing something new, which is always going to get attention, but it's something kind of alien as well to the local market. It's like, what
Yeah.
is this food?
Yeah. I mean, chicken and waffles in Europe is alien to a lot of people, but fortunate living in Sweden, Swedes they love their waffle. They're a big waffle country. And everybody loves fried chicken. So
Absolutely.
it's all about putting them together and convincing them that they do go together. And a lot of it's been the curiosity. And once they try it, they're like, oh snap, it do go together, So it's all about putting the two together and promoting it well and all this and just letting them know because they come for the waffles, but they like chicken. And they're like, okay, let's see this go together. And yeah. So yeah.
So when did you open the restaurant the first time?
I opened it about April of last year. Yeah.
Like, I know obviously there was issues with the location. So how are things going and how's the progress in, keeping it all moving along?
Well, the thing is, right now, unfortunately, I had to close that location at the end of June because they didn't renew my lease in the building I was at. So right now during the summer, I'm looking for a new location and I'm doing a lot of food markets. Sweden has like a whole bunch of food festivals and markets during the summer because they have a lot of tourists here. So right now I'm just, doing a lot of food festivals and markets while I'm looking for a new location.
That's kind of frustrating because like typically when you hear of a restaurant that is no longer operating, it's because it's
Yeah.
business. You didn't have that problem. When I say typically, I mean literally inevitably, that's the reason. It's
Yeah.
never didn't renew the lease. So
Yeah.
like you're doing everything right and you still
Yeah.
moved. That had to be tough in the head, man.
Yeah. It's been a big headache the last like literally 4 or 5 months because the restaurant was in the bottom floor of this building, but it's in a dining district. It's in a dining and drinking district. So that was the big confusion. Like where you it's right in the middle of the district and this and that. And it was more like the people in the building I was had the restaurant, the attention, the amount of traffic it brought there. They and they weren't fans of all that. You put a black restaurant in the middle of a predominantly white area, even though the majority, like 80% of the people that ate there were, white people and Swedes. But then it also brought a different demographic of people to the area too. And they were like, oh, this area. And then I had outdoor seating too. So, and then when you have the outdoor seating, and they weren't fans of all the extra attention and this and all that, and they really made it a real big hassle the last like 3 or 4 months, and they were like, we're not going to renew the lease and all this, and so I'm like, yeah.
Really sucks. Like I mean, there's no, bones about that. That just sucks. So how are
Yeah.
things looking in the quest for the new location?
Right now it's kind of touchy because it's more like where I want to be. Because right now, my first restaurant, it was more central it's like in the central part of the southern but central Stockholm. So now that I have the restaurant out and I have the name and the brand and the following, I can probably branch out a little bit for I don't have to be in the center of town where it's more expensive, so I can put the restaurant. So now I'm just trying to decide do I want to be on the north side of the city or the south side of the city, and just trying to figure out. I got my eye on a couple of locations, so I'm just trying to figure out do I want to be north or south. I live in the south side, but the money's on the north side, So it's like, oh, so it's more like the logistics.
Okay, so I gotta ask this. If I go to your place, hopefully I will when find a new spot.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what's the ultimate go-to. Is it chicken and waffles or something else? Like, what should I definitely order when I go to your restaurant?
Well, the chicken and waffles is the star of the show, but the co-star is our cornbread. Oh yes, the cornbread. It's been a surprising hit. Even though, I knew it was good, but so many people are so curious. You wouldn't believe how many people are curious about cornbread. And I make some of the best cornbread on the planet, and people just come. I have people come and just order a whole pan of takeaway cornbread. Don't even get no chicken and waffles. Yeah, that's how much they love the cornbread there. Yeah. So
It kind of makes sense though to me because if you think about it, like yeah, we've all, like I said, everybody likes fried chicken. Sweden's
yeah,
big on waffles,
yeah,
but it's one of those foods, cornbread, we just don't really see on sale in
exactly.
Europe.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
while we mightn't see chicken and waffles together as much, we do see fried chicken, we do see waffles. We just don't see cornbread. Like so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating
Yeah, yeah.
because it's
I
like
have a mean mac and cheese. So I have a nice macaroni and cheese also. I have this Alabama cream corn dish. So I got a couple of. I only got like my menu is small. I only have about six main dishes on it. But they all good though. That's the thing. Yeah.
oh no, I'm a big fan of small menu restaurants, like because and
Oh,
this is for like for anybody listening of all income strata, of all ages. It's always a good sign if a place has a small menu because that means they trust what they make.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like they trust what they make. They don't have to, confuse you with options.
Right.
So,
Right.
Rico, we're getting towards the end of this. So, I want to, for people who, if they want to, keep track of you and find out where to see what you're doing in Stockholm, like, when you open up, where's the best place for them to find you, man?
Right now, my Instagram, the restaurant Instagram would be the best way. It's Rico's CNW. So it's RECOS CNW, like Rico's Chicken and Waffles. And it's also the same on TikTok. So Instagram and TikTok. So it's Rico CNW. I'm actually redoing the website right now. So the website is down as of like 2 weeks ago. We're doing a whole new website, and we probably just gonna keep it dormant until we find a new location. But the Instagram and TikTok are up still. Yeah.
Rico, I really can't stress how fun it has been talking to you. And like as a guy who's mad for food, like I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing your new place in Stockholm. And also Jane, who's our mutual friend who introduced us. I haven't yet to visit her in Stockholm, so I kind of have to get around to doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Come on
Like
through.
I haven't seen her since she left Dublin, so it'd be lovely to go over, see there, and of course, hopefully catch a game. I will not take you on in math because that's one of my biggest failings. But it's like I'm probably slightly more playing basketball than I do at doing math, but it's close, it's close. But Rico, thank you so much for your time. As ever, if you want to follow us, it's Ball in Europe is the handle on everything except for Instagram. It's ballineurope.com. Many years ago, someone registered Ball in Europe. We think it actually might have been us, but we lost the password. So it's ballineurope.com on Instagram. And everybody, thanks as ever. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. And as is mandatory on all podcasts, please give us a review and make it 5 stars because apparently that's the only way to get heard. Alrighty, folks. Everett Ryan here with Reco Rawlins. Absolute pleasure. This has been Barely Hoops. See you soon.
All right.
Barely Hoops is a Ball in Your production. Our theme music is Deep Feelings, licensed from Artlist.